Now I just did a video on my first repair. I remember. I also remember my first job. Now, a job being someone asks you to do something, nobody else standing around can do it, and you get paid. I got a cookie. It was a cookie. I got paid. It was my first job. Now, what it was is okay. We had a neighborhood. It was a dead end street, and every once in a while, one of the little kids would go in the house and lock the mother out, and the mother would start panicking, and the other women would get their keys together. We all had Schlage locks, and they would get the keys, and they would try. Everybody would try their key in the person's door. They couldn't get open, and the kid would sometimes be in the inside the house going ha 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 like that. So what my mother would do is my mother would go get the step ladder. She had a step ladder on the side of the house by the side door. It was for washing the windows of the house and other things. And people in the neighborhood would borrow the step ladder. So they sent me. I got the step ladder. I brought it up. We put it up against the window. We found a window that was open. They were casement windows. They were the crappiest freaking window you can have. And in this case, most cases, the screen wasn't in. So you pull the casement open, and I would say to them, "Help me go in, but don't let go of me until I tell you to let go of me." So I would go in, and the little kid be fucking crying in there, and I'm like, "It's me," but they know they're gonna get the shit kicked out of them. So I'd go in, and then I'd open the door because I was tall, I was thin, I was light, I could reach no matter what door. So anyway, it only takes a couple months, and this keeps happening. And there I am with the step ladder going in through the window and saying to the person, "Look, I'm going in the living room. I'm going over a television set. It's up against that wall. The window's above it." I said, "Hang on to me until I say let go." I said, "I'm coming down on a television set that probably has knickknacks on it." One guy let me drop. I wanted to come out and kick the crap out of him. But anyway, time goes on. I'm the guy. That's my job. I get a cookie or whatever. And then someone else's, my Billy or whatever name he had, he can go in and do it. So they got the step ladder. I probably went and got it, put it there. He goes in the freaking window. We don't hear nothing. So I'm like, this is funny. They got two kids in there that have locked themselves in, and they're in there playing, or in this case, little Greg or Billy, whatever his name was, he fell asleep. He gets to the other side of the window. He hits the rug floor. He falls asleep right there. So now I go in. I have to go over him. And I went out. I didn't even pick him up to see if he was hurt. I just went out and opened the door and let the parents go in and take care of the business. One kid gets beat. The other one gets yelled at for being stupid. But that was my first job. And it was so funny. One of the other jobs, which doesn't count, uh, we had these funny mats on our front steps. The builder gave us these mats, and they were plastic, and they looked like chain. They looked like tank chain. They were pieces of rubber with pieces of metal, and they looked like the would be the caterpillar, the treads on the tank. And what we would do is we go gather them up, and we put them under a wheel of a car that was spinning. And I knew to make sure that the front of the car was cleared out and that the alignment of the wheels was straight. And then we put these mats down, one under the tire and a couple of them up ahead where the tire would move to. And then a bunch of us would get behind and push and get the person out. The street had a slight crown to it, so you would always get stuck on the one side. But those were my two jobs. I'd be laying in bed, and for years, I mean, until I moved from there, I would hear, and I knew I'd just get up, put my clothes on, and start going outside. Because late at night, the street would ice up. There was no way with that crown in the street you would ever get out of there. And I'd come out with a bucket of kitty litter and salt. And I'd have the person straighten their wheels out. Some people would argue with me. I said, "I'm going home. You straighten that wheel out. You let me shovel out in the front of the car. Well, I'm going home. I know you're not going to get out. I know this street." So, the person's always in a hurry. And sometimes they come up our street. They're trying to go around the DWI stop. Yeah, they thought the street went through. That's always funny. Well, anyway, yeah, I would put some kitty litter down. I said, "Now let's wait a couple minutes." And car would be able to put in gear and just drive off. But I had certain jobs that over the years, that I was expected to do for people. And, but my first job was, yeah, I was little, man, but I always looked bigger than I was. I was always taller, and I looked like 5 years older than other kids. And whenever I would go for a walk, men doing work on houses would call me over. Hey, could you hold this just for a few minutes, or can you steady the ladder for me? I get it, thank you. I don't think anybody ever even gave me like a stick of gum. But my very first job, and I was very young at the time, I might have been 5. They would put me in through a window, and because I was so tall, I could reach any lock. Because some of the kids that would go in through the window would get in there and they couldn't reach the lock to undo the door. And it was funny stuff. And the little kid, ha ha, ha ha. Yeah, and I just go, yeah, I'm going to stick around to see what you're going to get. And I stick around. The mother would cream the kid. The kid, I go, ha ha, back to him. But there were some real little bastard kids in the neighborhood that would, when their mother would go out to hang the wash, and they would lock her out. And then the mother would start crying. The kid wouldn't open the door. But in a few minutes, once I got them in the house again, that kid would get his. I think that's it. All right, that's it.